All right, it's time to check our answers for the Chapter 1 test review. For number 1 and 2, we're finding greatest common factor. So greatest common factor of 12 and 42. You could have listed out the factors and found the one that was the greatest in common, or you could have done the trees, found the ones in common. 2 and 3 are the prime factors in common. 2 times 3 is 6. For number 2, you have all these different plants. If she put the same number of plants in each row and each row only had one type of plant, what's the greatest number you can put in one row? There's your keyword for greatest common factor. So let's find the greatest common factor of those 3 numbers. You can make a list here. So listing the factors, 5 was the greatest that I found. Or you can do the tree, 35, 20, and 5. The prime that they had in common was 5. So 5 is your answer there. So moving into least common multiple, we need to find the least common multiple of 3 and 11. So I listed multiples of 3 and 11, and I had to go up to 33. That was the smallest one they had in common. Or here, 3 and 11 are both prime, so 3 times 11 is 33. And then number 4, Clea attends music lessons every 2 weeks, dance every 3, dental every 6. If she attends all 3 in this week, how many weeks will she attend again? How many will it happen again? So 2, 3, and 6, find those multiples. 6 seems to be the least one they had in common. Or you already have 2 primes, so 2 is a common and 3 is a common. 2 times 3 is 6. The next one, number 5 and 6, are about ratios in simplest form. So at summer camp, there are 40 boys out of 70 campers. What is the ratio written as a fraction in simplest form? So 40 out of 70, you write it as a fraction, and you divide by the greatest common factor, which the greatest common factor is 10. I did the little tree here, and 2 and 5 were the factors in common. 2 times 5 is 10. So 40 divided by 10 and 70 divided by 10 gives you 4 boys for every 7 campers. Number 6, on his shelves, Trenton had 15 biographies, 15 sci-fi, 7 reference, 11 mysteries. What's the ratio of biographies to total number? So we had 15 biographies, and when you add up all, the total book number is 48 books. And we want to divide by the greatest common factor, so I use the tree to find that the greatest common factor of 15 and 48 is 3. So 15 divided by 3 and 48 divided by 3 gives you 5/16. I did a little long division down here for the 48 divided by 3. And now we're going to move on to 7 and 8, and these are about unit rates. So number 7, what's the unit rate for 20 pounds for $4? So you can divide both numerator and denominator by 4 to get 1 in the denominator for the unit rate, so it's 5 pounds for $1. And then the train is 558 miles in 3 hours, so how far does the train travel per hour? So I set this up, 558 per 3 hours. And I found that 558 divided by 3 works, so we can get 1 in the denominator, so it's 186 miles per hour. Learning objective E, we're solving ratio tables. So we have the jumping team can jump 36 times in 9 seconds. At this rate, how many jumps can they make in 27 seconds? So what I found is you can go right from 9 times 3 gives you 27. So you have to do the same thing to the top. 36 times 3, I figured that over here is 108. And for number 10, we're trying to figure out there are 8 boxes with 56 sweaters. So if you need 35 sweaters, how many boxes will it take? So I looked here first and I thought, okay, 56 and 35 both have a factor in common of 7. So I can get 56 to 7, and then I can get 7 to 35. So 56 divided by 8 is 7. 7 times 5 is 35. You can do 8 divided by 8 down here, and then that gives you 1, and 1 times 5 gives. All right, moving on to using a graph to explain ratios. So number 11, a serving of fruit punch serves 16 people, so 1 serves 16, so it has to be one of these because we're talking number of servings, comma, number of people. So 1 serving, 16 people. So 2 would be double that 16, which is 32. And then add 16 more. That'd give you 48. Add 16 more. 48 plus 16 is 64. So 11 is A. And 12, we're looking for 4, 8. So you go start at the origin, over 4, up 8. That gives us R right here. And so A actually is the right one. So A is the correct answer for number 12. 13 and 14, we're looking to see if rates are equivalent. So it says $15 for 5 pairs of socks, $25 for 10 pairs of socks. Is it equivalent? So I'm looking here, and I set up an equivalent fraction. $15 for 5, $25 for 10. 5 times 2 is 10, but 15 times 2 is not 25. So they're not equivalent. And then number 14, Juan read 300 pages in 5 days. Which reading rate is equivalent? So what I did was I found the unit rate for this. 300 pages in 5 days divided by 5 is 60 pages per day. So then I started with A, 150 pages in 3 days. That unit rate is 50, so that didn't match. So then I did B, 120 in 2 days divided by 2, and that did match. So the equivalent fraction, equivalent ratio is 120 over 2. Now, learning objective H, we are going to be solving rate and ratio problems. So number 15, a scanner can scan 40 pages in 4 minutes. How many pages can it scan in 2 minutes? You might set up a diagram. So 40 divided by 4 is 10. So 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minutes. In those 4 minutes, there's 10 scanned pages. So they want to know how many in 2 minutes, so that'd be 20 pages. Or you could set up equivalent fractions. 40 pages per 4 minutes is how many pages in 2 minutes. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. Do the same to the top. 40 divided by 2 is 20. For number 16, Chantel counted 48 books on 6 shelves in the library. How many books would she expect to count on 12 shelves? So I drew a diagram here. 48 books on 6 shelves would be 8 books per shelf. So 6 shelves, 8 books per shelf. But she wanted 12 shelves, so I drew 6 more. So this 48 here plus another 48, 48 times 2 gives you 96 books total. Or here, I set up this equation here. So 48 books for 6 shelves is how many books on 12 shelves? 6 times 2 is 12, so I do the times 2 to the numerator. 48 times 2 is 98. So a couple different ways to do those. Looking at the vocab, here are your answers for the vocab. If you want to pause it on that and check, I'm going to go through each one. So number 17, a multiple of 5 would be 30. So it has to end in a 5 or a 0. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. A ratio comparing two different kinds of units is going to be a rate. What's a prime number? This is D, a number that can only be divided by itself in 1. Number 20, a comparison by division of 2 quantities with the same units is called a ratio. And number 21, on a coordinate plane, 0, 0 is called the origin. 22, in an ordered pair, 2, 3, which number is the x-axis? That's 2. And for 23, 4 times 5 equals 20. 4 and 5 are factors of 20. All right, it's almost test time.